After what feels like months of speculation, we're days away from what could be the unveiling of the redesigned 2022 MacBook Air. And if all the rumors are true, we're in for the most radical change for Mac since the 24-inch iMac redesign. As always with these videos, I try to make them as short as possible, and I've included chapters so you can jump to each specific feature. Now let's get into everything that's new. The MacBook Air, originally with an all too familiar aluminum unibody, has had the iconic wedge design since 2008. With Johnny Ive at the forefront of design, it seemed like the main focus for Apple was to make their devices smaller and smaller, to the point they were so thin they felt fragile, and also removing a lot of consumer benefits, like ports in the process. It's a trap they fell into, but in recent years, Apple is working hard on reversing that mentality, first with the redesigned 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro, increasing that thickness of the body to a more flat design, finally giving us back that HDMI, SD card reader, and MagSafe charging in the process. The MacBook Air is supposedly set to undergo a similar design process this year, first with a bold new range of colors, much more closely resembling that 24-inch iMac, but also by eliminating that wedge design for a flatter design just like its Pro sibling. Considering this is a MacBook Air, it wouldn't be surprising if Apple makes it thinner than the current MacBook Pro, so the interesting challenge is how much thinner can it actually get while still accommodating a number of USB-C ports and the reintroduction of MagSafe charging. The renders dream of a world where the Air is literally as thin as the ports it houses, and while it's always exciting to see how Apple merges functionality with a thin design, I don't think it'll get this close as the renderings are trying to do without sacrificing functionality yet. It's possible Apple will slightly increase the size of the Air this year, but keeping its integrity alive by focusing more on the weight of the next generation Air rather than that thickness. And with a Pro that's currently sitting at 3.5 pounds for the 14-inch model and 4.7 pounds for the 16-inch model, there's definitely a ton of improvement possible here. While the display certainly won't be as thin as the renderings show, I do have a feeling that this is one area where Apple will focus more on a slim profile rather than advanced specs. And unlike the Pro that comes with the 120Hz ProMotion display with mini LED, it appears none of that will actually be coming to the Air this year. And I have to say, it's not necessarily surprising that the non-Pro MacBook omits Pro features from the Pro lineup. Instead, we can expect a non-ProMotion display with extremely thin bezels that, although small, will be white, and if so, a very noticeable white notch peeking out from the top. White bezels will undoubtedly be subject to that similar mixed reviews as the 24-inch iMac did, and while I want to join in on the scrutiny, I have to admit I was wrong about the iMac, and having those white bezels on my desktop hasn't been as distracting as I originally thought they would be. Still, it is possible it will be more disruptive in a more portable MacBook format. While the screen size is set to maintain that 13-inch sizing, the thinner bezels could point to an overall thinner model than anything we've seen before on MacBook Air as of yet. While there are rumors floating around about a 15-inch model, this doesn't look likely until 2023. Now, the keyboard isn't talked about as often as you'd think, but if you've used the latest MacBook Pro, then you'll be excited to hear that the same keyboard is said to be brought over to the Air lineup this year, only this time in white to match that brighter look they're going for, with much larger function keys and a Touch ID button built in. It's still unclear if the surface surrounding the keys will be white to match the keys or colors to match the rest of the MacBook, and at this point it's a design challenge that Apple will have to step in and solve for us. The trackpad will likely be smaller than that of its older MacBook Pro siblings, but only slightly to match the overall smaller form factor that the Air will have. One big headline feature about the MacBook Air is the rumors of a redesigned Apple Silicon chip called M2. This is said to be a new lineup that will fuel the future generation of the Mac lineup. The interesting thing here is that M2 won't actually be better than existing chips we have like the M1 Pro or M1 Ultra, but instead will be an upgrade to the bottom line of the M1 lineup. With major delays happening all around the world, it's possible the M2 chip will cause further delays with the production of the 2022 MacBook Air, making shipping windows extend further and further into the future, just like we're currently seeing on the MacBook Pro lineup. Now, in terms of announcements, we're all expecting an announcement on June 6th at WWDC for the new MacBook Air, but if the rumors are true about delays in M2 chips, it's possible the new MacBook won't ship until later in the summer. It's very possible we won't get the new model in our hands until at least July or August of this year. Still, that's a lot better than some of the mixed rumors we're hearing about the Air not launching until the fall. Now, no one is 100% sure whether these dates are confirmed, and Apple is known for keeping people on their toes about leaks and release dates. but many app developers are reporting that many Apple employees are currently increasing their usage of their apps on next generation MacBook Airs. That is a pretty clear indication that we're extremely close to a launch, hopefully next week. It's looking more and more likely that we can expect a MacBook release next week, so let me know in the comments what feature you're most excited for, and if the rumors are true and it is coming, are you planning on picking one up when the Air launches? Of course, if you guys want to be updated on the latest Apple leaks and anything that's upcoming, because there's a lot of product releases happening this year, be sure to hit that subscribe button. As always, thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.